Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in today's video, I had a network update for you guys from Verizon. And I think this is a big one. And the reason I say this is a big one because Verizon has taken a course of action over the years that has not shifted at all. They made their mind up about some of the technologies and spectrum layers that they were going to put into the network, and they have not shifted from that at all. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the Verizon millimeter wave play, they bought Straight Path and XO Communications, and I think there's one more company well before the Sprint and T-Mobile merger was even announced. They already had that Spectrum asset in their arsenal. Now, was there some intelligent guy on the intelligence team on Verizon that likely gave them a prediction that this merger was going to happen between Sprint and T-Mobile? Sure. I think AT&T predicted that as well, that at some point that merger was going to get announced and it was likely going to get approved. So both of the companies had some kind of insight that that merger was going to happen. But again, Verizon did not shy away or shift their plans at all. They're following the plan that they structured out from the beginning, which included millimeter wave. And then they also made a commitment to buying the amount of C-band that they bought, which totaled about 54 billion, roughly. That was an estimate. I don't know the exact number. I forgot, but it was a huge chunk of money that they're spending on that C-band. And then they have to spend that big money on also deploying the C-band on its existing infrastructure. Now, on this title from Fierce Wireless, which I'll leave this article in the description down below, Verizon CEO tips C-band to boost its MEC play. Now, that's mobile edge compute. And they're going to utilize that on millimeter wave, but on C-band, they're going to be able to have better characteristics and penetration and more coverage on the C-band. So that's why it states boast its mobile edge compute. Again, that is something that they emphasized a while back. They're talking about it. They're going to utilize it. They're not shifting or changing their strategy. They're going according to their plan. They're not changing for anybody. The Sprint and T-Mobile merger didn't change anything. They were going to spend and get the C-band that they wanted if that merger happened or not. That was Verizon's play. That was their plan. They are a big enough company, and they really wanted that spectrum. They were going to get that if the merger happened or not. So it's very interesting how Verizon is playing this, because some are telling me that Verizon is playing in a whole nother league that the other carriers are not even getting close to. And a lot of that has to do with AT&T being the jack of all trades but master of none in the last decade. They never really were fully committed to wireless. They were never fully committed to media, and they were never fully committed to home broadband. I stated that in a previous video, and some of you have acknowledged over the years that that was the case. That's why AT&T wasn't really that explosive in any of its businesses. But since they were the jack of all trades, they had big money because they got connected cars, they had DirecTV income, they had Uverse income, they had wireless income, and then they had home broadband income. But they never mastered any. And again, Verizon, they really strive to master wireless. They always knew they were a pure wireless play. They had some media, they still do, but they recently sold off Yahoo and then AOL. And now they're even trying to further develop mastering the wireless. And they want to completely operate in a different room versus their competitors, I feel. And the millimeter wave strategy is displaying just that. They're really wanting to take that deployment to another level. They want to really get to that 50% 50 to 70% of usage in the urban environment to come from millimeter wave. That's an immense amount of densification needed to pull that off. So that means you're going to start seeing millimeter wave small cells pop up all over the place, repeaters. And then, of course, with massive MIMO, 4x4 MIMO, the technology is going to start reaching and covering a little bit better than what we're seeing now. So there's several indoor solutions that'll come into play as well. And then the panels and radios are going to get more efficient as time goes on and newer radios are developed. So that's one piece of the puzzle, but it's a lot of that has to do with the grind. They're willing to put the work in now. The hard work gets done early. They're pushing the permits. They're getting approval. And then once they have that, they start building the millimeter wave small cells. A lot of those small cells come with, guess, CBRS, LTE that reaches further, that comes from that small cell. At the end of this year, or by the end of this year, Verizon will send a software update to that CBRS node, and it will broadcast 5G NR, which also will come with a little bit of further reach. I know CBRS is low powered. I'm hearing from people that tested it can reach about 1 to 1.2 miles. So all of that is going to play an impact on its overall performance of the network. The more people can be offloaded from the macros, the faster the macros will get. And the small cells usually tend to be for capacity, so they usually have more higher band spectrum on them to handle more people to take them off the macro. And with that comes Verizon's own fiber. So the performance of that small cell is going to be very solid because they deploy their own fiber so they can turn the backhaul as high as they want. And then also with that comes mobile edge compute. So you're going to have much better performance at the cell edge. You're going to be able to do all your cloud gaming, and it'll be able to handle it without any issues. That's essentially the customer experience that Verizon wants to create. Now, from the millimeter wave perspective, do you necessarily need 2 to 3 gigs? No. There's nothing on a phone right now or even in development that's going to say we, as a system requirement, we need you to have 3 gigs of internet. That's not happening. We have something with 4K right now that requires you to have at least 25 megabits per second. That's like a requirement for you to stream it at that quality. There's nothing right now that needs 3 gigs worth of data. What the 3 gigs is essentially for is it can handle more people within a certain area and still give you the same experience on anything you want to do on your phone. High quality streaming, high quality xCloud gaming, whatever it is, Google Stadia, remote play on your PlayStation, whatever you want to do with that. The millimeter wave can handle 2, 3, 4,000 people within the same footprint, where previously the macro used to really struggle to give you 5, 6 megabits a second. So that's essentially what that is meant for. And as we go further along in the year and the next year, that footprint, I can promise you guys, is going to just deepen further and further and further for Verizon. It's going to come. They're putting in the grind now. And then, of course, also C-band is accelerating at an insane pace, I'm being told. And then that's going to also accelerate, of course, and scale more in 2022. And then towards the end of 2023, it's going to scale nationwide because the rest of that B block clears in 2023 December. Maybe there's a possibility it clears maybe a couple of months before that. And that'll be for all the markets outside of the top 46 PEAs. And then at that point, it's Verizon versus Verizon, as they've been saying. There's nobody right now that is deploying millimeter wave at the scale and at the pace that Verizon is. And even that to us is really still a very small percentage of area covered. AT&T is the second, and they're not even deploying it at that scale and pace right now. T-Mobile is not even talking about millimeter wave. They say they'll implement it at some point at higher end venues and maybe to offset some congestion on home internet where need be. But they have not included it in its actual plan. Verizon tells you we're going to deploy 14,000 millimeter wave nodes this year. We're deploying 14,000 millimeter wave nodes next year. That is a part of their plan. They want to deploy it. They have engineers that have been doing the calculations, the mathematics, and they're saying this is going to be a vital part of the network. They're showing you what it is. Just like when the decade started with LTE, they were at the forefront with LTE. Nobody else was doing LTE. Sprint was doing WiMAX. T-Mobile and AT&T were doing HSPA. Verizon shot out early on the LTE, and then everybody is like, oh, this is the new technology. We have to follow Verizon. And boom, they were all late to the party. And I expect the same to happen with millimeter wave. Verizon is at the forefront. They'll start deploying the repeaters. People are going to start getting 2-3 gigs inside of targets with these repeaters. And boom, all of a sudden you'll start seeing AT&T and T-Mobile like, oh, in order for us to catch up to the speed averages that Verizon's putting out, we got to deploy millimeter wave. I can see it happen now. That's what the market is really shifting towards, I believe. And Verizon is taking advantage of this because their competitors are not as aggressive on that technology when Verizon is expected to make it work and for it to show very, very good results. So let me know what you think about this. Again, mobile edge compute in play now. We got C-band coming. It'll be launched in the next few months. We're already in July almost. They're deploying this at a rapid pace. They want to be at 100 million covered by March 2022. I think they get there before that. They said 90 million by December. That's an insane pace. AT&T will be a bit behind, but they'll push for that too. So again, Verizon, this is their playground. Their ball's in their court, and I think they're going to take this to something incredible and really show that they are the premium network. Now, does that come at a price increase? What that looks like in the future, that's a discussion for another video. But for now, Verizon is looking to really separate themselves once and for all from its competition and show that they have the best network and get the perception that they are the #1 network to be on in the United States. So if you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel and you have not yet liked, shared, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.